Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, commonly known as FUF. We welcome you here today, and we're going to start our service. We've got Catherine and Brooke, we've got Tuvia and Xana and Ray and Jay, and we're going to sing Spirit of Life. The music is performed by Jeff Lovejoy. Let's sing along, shall we? Spirit of Life. Singing that. I'm grateful to Jeff for recording that so we can sing it together here. So a few announcements for us. This afternoon at 5 o'clock we have our Zoom gathering, right? It's our happy hour. And we suspect Dean Shrock will be with us. He knows, he loves to be with us, and he'll help us deepen our understanding of his message today, which is titled, We Have One Common Quality. Join us at 5. Jay Gutler will be our host. Thank you, Jay. Next week we have Dr. Ruth Miller. She'll be talking about our theme for March, which is commitment. So if you want to be a part of the live recording like we are doing today, that we're recording this on Friday, if you want to be a part of our live recording, be here on Friday at, I don't know, 11-ish? No, before 11. If you can get here by 10:45, that would be great, okay? You're welcome. We've got ample chairs. We can probably do 10 people maybe maximum and still be socially distanced. And hopefully you've read Reverend Elizabeth's newsletter that was out in the e-blast that you received on Sunday morning. And check out the many classes that she's hosting. There's one that's called Ever-Flowing Streams. It continues this Thursday, the 11th, and then concludes on the 18th. And then she has on the 27th of this month her Soul Matters class at 10 a.m. So check those out and join Elizabeth as well as some other foofers. We also have our scheduled annual celebration and vision planning for April 17th. And rumor has it Reverend Elizabeth will be in town to help facilitate this. We've got some special things planned. Karen Hernandez, myself, and Reverend Elizabeth are planning what we hope to be a really good celebration and visioning for us. So stay tuned. Also, this Wednesday, right, March 10th at 3:30, we have our board meeting. If you'd like to come to the board meeting, virtual, send us an email and we will send you a Zoom invitation. Let's see, what else? There's the order of services in the e-blast today, so if you'd like to follow along with the reading, you're welcome to do that. Is there any other announcements from anybody else before we light our chalice? If not, I'm going to invite Catherine to come forward and light the flame in our chalice as you maybe perhaps light a candle in your own home. These words are from Paul's preacher titled, For the Web of Life. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for Mother Earth, and for the mystery of life. Again, welcome to our fellowship. I invite Catherine to come up. We have some joys and concerns that we'll be sharing, and then we'll move on with our order of service. Thank you, Catherine.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is the time we take for our joys and concerns. Of course, this month's theme of commitment flows right out of last month's theme beloved community. We recognize our beloved community, and now how do we commit to it? Our answer will be different. For some, it is service, getting out in the world, love in action, in justice and truth. For others, perhaps, it's a commitment to our own health and well-being, which can only radiate out all around us. Either way, we are the pebble in the pond, creating, caring, committing to our next step, adding to the loving vibration of the universe with every conscious thought and kind word, and service, in service to ourselves and those around us. And so it is. Sally's going to drop a pebble, not a pebble.
It's a shell.
A shell, it can be the shell in the pond, pebble in the pond.
Yes.
I will start with a concern. Karen Cooper's very good friend, a friend of a long time, by the name of Robin Hoyer, really needs our prayers and all of our intentions. She has a very large mass in her abdomen, and it is a stage 4 cancer. And I guess they're trying to figure out what the origin is right now. But let's say our prayers and our good intentions for Karen as well, because she is really feeling it for her good friend. So, Robin Hoyer. This is a good joy. I'd like to intersperse them. Last week, February 25th, marked the 5th anniversary of Jim Negri and Doug Hansen moving here to Florence. And they are so happy to be here, and I know everyone that has ever met them is happy that they are here.
Yes.
They add so much to us. I think there's a couple more joys and concerns that want to be shared.
Tuvia has one.
Tuvia?
This is definitely a joy. This was filmed, put together on March 5th, which happens to be the 100th birthday of my dear, beloved Auntie Hattie, who lives out on the island. That means that 50 years ago, she was 50. And just share one little anecdotal little thing about my Auntie Hattie. She loves ice cream, so she'd go to the A&P in the neighborhood out there, and she'd buy a brick of seal test ice cream. She'd place it into the freezer, and then she'd go back for a little taste. Within maybe 2 days, that ice cream would be gone. And when I was visiting, I said to Auntie Hattie, "Where's the ice cream?" "Oi, oi, oi, Tuvia, I ate it all up. I'm going to hell with myself." Listen, if we could be so happy and smile and giggle like Jimmy Kimmel, we will be happy every day, just as my Auntie Hattie is on her 100th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
Thank you, Tuvia. Brooke, you have one. You're going to use the microphone? Great.
So I'd like to drop a shell for my good friend Mary James, who's having a health concern right now. And I'm just asking for prayers for her, to see her body as healthy and healing, and see her joyful and happy and playing and doing all the things that she loves. She's given so much to everyone all over Oregon and our community, and we want to give back to her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. I'd like to end with a little quote from, it's an African-American proverb from the World Treasury. "Tell me whom you love, and I'll tell you who you are." Now you're going to drop a pebble in or a shell
I
in
love that.
for everyone that we love and that we don't know how they're feeling right now,
Yeah.
but we're including them in that.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Okay. And now, Brooke, you are going to do your reading. Thank you, Brooke.
Today's reading is by Starhawk, I believe. No?
No, it is, I have it written down. Who is it?
Okay, well, nonetheless, here it is. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It calls us in the silence and through the noise and busyness of our daily lives. It calls us in the brightness of the day and the darkness of the night, in times of hope and despair. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It doesn't matter what you call it, for it has no names and has many different names. The Spirit of life, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of compassion, the Spirit of hope, the Spirit of justice. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. It's calling to you and to me. It's calling us to greater wholeness, greater connection, greater service, greater love. It's calling us to heal the brokenness within ourselves, in others, and in the world. It's calling us to live more deeply. It's calling us to beauty. It's calling us to laugh and sing and dance. It's calling us to live through life's pain and sorrow. It's calling us to live courageously and kindly, to speak our truth in love, and to bend the moral arc of the universe toward justice. It's calling us into community. It's calling us to the greatest life of all. Listen, can you hear it? The Spirit is calling. Blessed be. As you consider these opening words, enjoy the beautiful musical interlude titled On the Riverbank, written and performed by Jeff Lovejoy. And this will be followed by Dean Shrock's message.
Hi, welcome to the FOOF talk for this week. I'm very pleased to be here as always. The theme for FOOF this month is beloved community. And I recently read a book that I thought would feed very well into this theme of beloved community. And I'd like to share with you a number of quotes from this book. And I hope you'll indulge me while I do this because I found them very meaningful. And again, I think they help very much feed into this topic of beloved community. The book is titled Epic Steps, Rekindling Democracy, Unity, and Peace by Dr. Gates McKibben. The book is all channeled information by three particular personalities that came through Dr. McKibben, and they were Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Dwight Eisenhower. So, again, please indulge me while I cite some of the quotes that came from these people currently, looking back on their time in attempting to form a democracy and to deal with slavery and the unity of our country, and then a more current one with Eisenhower and his discussion of the military, and I think then raises some very important questions that in the end I want us to consider. I want us to end up thinking about what really does matter and looking ahead, what is essential, and ask the question, what if? What if we could do what it is we think it really is essential, and what kinds of steps would that take? So, here's Thomas Jefferson. People share one quality, their interconnectedness in spirit. And this really sets the stage, and I think a good theme for what he has to say, and then why I titled my talk today, We Have One Common Quality. Because another statement he said a little later in the book is, all people everywhere have one common quality, their spiritual nature. Every person is a manifestation of the Creator and therefore has the innate capacity to love. The deepest source of meaning and the most profound desire of every human being is to do something that benefits others. I really resonated with this one, and actually I'm going to tell you this again when I bring up another subject. Indeed, it is incumbent that we provide opportunities for individuals to achieve their highest potential physically, mentally, and spiritually, plus a commitment to the highest good for the collective. There is a true need for freedom and equality. And then this one also made me think, and I hope makes you think, there are no privileged classes. And so later when we rethink about what if, how would we really think about that and address that and maybe make some changes as we move forward? We need to hold elected and appointed officials to standards of selfless service. Freedom of speech, press, and the right to vote, and that people need to be heard publicly are essential. There must be a healthy dialogue. To be tolerant and live harmoniously is to be grateful for our diversity, for we are united in spirit. Democracy depends on disagreement, debate, and recommitment. People acting out of generosity and goodwill encourage the same in others. What is best for all? And now I'm going to go to my book, Epic Steps, and cite you just a couple of things more, please bear with me, that were given in this book that I think are very relevant to today. And what really impressed me in reading some of Abraham Lincoln's statements was, I think, a greater awareness of his connection with spirit and how he was guided in the decisions he made while holding the presidency. And similarly, Thomas Jefferson talked about what really was forefront in his mind when he and others were forming our democracy. So, Abraham Lincoln, it was solitude then that sustained my courage, for in the quiet hours appeared my masters, my advisors in spirit, and we collaborated on a way to restore the Union. If we are equal under God, then everyone in the nation must be equal under the laws of the land. If we are equal under God, then we must honor the divine within each person. And that divine aspect blossoms with acceptance, not judging, love, not hatred, interrelatedness, not separateness, freedom, not slavery. Love one another and you love the divine within that person. Love all and you honor the omnipresent divine. Choose to treat everyone equally and with respect, and you align yourself with God. And then a last comment here. The root of war is the belief that furthering one's values and interests takes precedence over the welfare of others, be they across the street, across the world, or across generations. Everyone has the potential to be either self-interested or altruistic. When you make decisions that serve your own needs, regardless of their consequences, you strangle your spiritual nature. When you choose selflessness, you create harmony and goodwill. Your roots are in spirit. What unites everyone, what unites all creation, is oneness with God. God is your source. And since everyone derives from the same source, we are all related. To kill another human being is to extinguish a relative, for you are related to that person in spirit, if not in blood. And as with the death of any relative, a part of you dies with them. And then as we move on to Eisenhower's comments, his were even more pointed, as you might imagine, relative to war and the consequences of war and what leads up to war and what we might do differently and better in a way to establish peace. We are all worthy when we choose to engage in right action, when we care, when we share. God has not established a singular path to spirit unless it is through love, compassion, and forgiveness. So here's really something to think about, certainly got me to thinking. What if a large portion of military capacity, intellectual, technological, organizational, were used to promote the welfare of humankind? Do you believe it might be possible to reach an agreement with enough nations to start on this path, even if only in a preliminary way? And if that is possible, might significant military spending eventually be shifted to fostering international infrastructure, worldwide economic renewal, and cultural exchange? In short, toward coming together on a global basis. There is no better way to defend America than to keep the peace through generosity and goodwill. So, now more to the theme, beloved community. I went online and found myself very quickly learning that Dr. Martin Luther King was the one who really made popular this term, beloved community. And one of the things that stood out for me in that was the idea of what he said there were three things that essentially were necessary. And they were based on justice, equal opportunity, and love of one's fellow human beings. it was absolutely essential that we share the wealth of the earth. So this meant no poverty, hunger, homelessness, no racism, bigotry, discrimination, or prejudice. And that's where I really want us to think about where we really are headed today and what we can do about it to improve our lives, to improve our world, improve our relationships. One of the things when I was writing my book, Why Love Heals, that really stood out for me was the relationship by a Dr. Stephen Post, who has actually, it'll be more than 30 years now at least, that he has actually researched altruism and the idea of giving, and were there any real effects or benefits to altruism. And here's what he said, simply as straightforward as can be. Give and be happier. Give and be healthier. Give and live longer. Extensive research concluded with one simple fact, he said. Helping others makes us feel good and improve our health. The deepest source of meaning and most profound desire of every human being is to do something that benefits others. That's the statement I told you I would repeat from Thomas Jefferson. So the conclusion here was, we need to redefine our values and relationships with one another, to Earth and the world. Another thing that in preparing for this talk I ran across was some research from Yale. And it was talking about genius and attempting to define or maybe enhance our understanding of what genius is. And one of the things that was clear was that it was thinking against the grain. It was not conformity. It was essential. The first way, it said, was to ensure genius was equal opportunities, which ultimately enhanced the capacity to change culture for the better. And so our obligation truly is to each other. It always has been, even though we may have forgotten. And certainly based on my work and a lot of what I'm doing now in writing my new book, is the importance of going within. We saw it as we understood Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, in particular, citing directly how they looked to Spirit for guidance in making major decisions about their presidency and the direction of this country. And so please, I pray, you go within and ask, what may be required so that all may be well? Some of the questions I really want to raise now to help us think about a what if. You know, it's so common and really natural to wonder and worry. You know, we've gone through a very difficult year, 2020, and now there's still a great deal of uncertainty. And I want to share with you some of the insights that have been given to me looking ahead, and why I want you to be optimistic, but why I think it's important that we are. Rather than focusing on how things are going wrong, is to ask this question, what if? And understand that that really can be our focus, and to actually begin to see things are beginning to change for the better, certainly in terms of our sense of community and relationships and caring for one another. So, what came to me was, in this current time, we are beginning to see more of the truth. We certainly struggled with that in the past. And I think that you will begin to see this more and more as this year progresses, including even that there will be less virus restrictions by the fall and certainly into next spring. One of the things that came up again for me around the purpose of the virus, in a bigger question way, was that it was a wake-up call. And it was a time for us to rethink so many things, including our financial systems and a lot of established structures and a lot of established institutions. And so I'm just going to bring up some of these and ideas, and not so much that I want to sound like I'm whining or complaining or even necessarily telling you what you should think or do. And actually, hopefully, later today when we're on our Zoom call at 5 o'clock, if you choose, we can certainly talk more about our what if. And what if we imagined a world that could be so much more one in harmony, in interrelatedness and working together. So related to military spending, I think that it would certainly be something we could think about. Is this really the best use of our money? What if, for example, we took some of that money and put it into more social programs? There's a lot of evidence that indeed, if we did put more into social programs, in fact, that people would fare better. There was another piece of research I remember saying that actually you could equate people's social status with their health status and how that affected our relationships and even the economy. What about health care? Here we've gone through a horrible situation with this virus, and where most, if not all, industrialized countries have universal health care, people here struggled to be able to get the health care they really did need, and the one that they could afford. So something to think about. And even in terms of prevention, rather than we waiting till people get sick and then think about doing something about it. And certainly we can see this in a positive light. It is beginning to change. It's changing slowly, and the changes will be slow at first. But what if we started to think more about what really is essential for our health care? Remember my research that said people need to feel loved and cared for. Dean Ornish's research, James Lintz's research, all concluding very similarly. We need to feel listened to and cared for and heard and understood. What could we do in that regard as individuals in our communities, within our country, to address that in a healthier way? What about education? What if we took more time to look at any individual's gifts and structured education in a way that helped to build those gifts and their capabilities, instead of everybody just getting the same education? And so many other questions I could raise at this time, but I'd like you to think about, what if we thought more about how we are going about our education? What about climate change? My goodness, it certainly seems more than evident that some things could be done there way differently, way better. And this idea of equality and everybody has equal rights. And yet, clearly we see that so many corporations are doing things in a way that certainly don't seem to be honoring the earth and how we treat our waters and our air, and so many pollution-related topics, considerations. What if we really looked at this more closely? And if we're also being optimistic, realizing that we are beginning to look that way. Look what's happening with electric cars and so forth. What about voting rights? I have to tell you, this one really bothers me. The idea that everyone is fair and equal, that everything should be fair and equal, and yet we restrict the ability of people to vote. One person, one vote. Everybody matters. So, thank you for hearing me out about my strong interest in what we can do to improve our communities, or certainly what we can consider to improve our communities. And so I'll end this with saying it is a time to rethink what is essential and imagine how we want our world to be. How do you want to see our beloved community? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean. Great message, as always. And it will be so nice to see you on our Zoom happy hour today at 5 p.m. Thank you for being a part of our FOOF, being such a good friend and always willing to bring in a good message to us. As well as, I loved your last Tuesday's meditation class at 5:15. I'll be there again, so it's the first Tuesday of every month, 5:15, Dean Shrock meditation. No charge, no harm, no foul. Show up and see what happens, okay? So again, thank you, Dean. So our offertory comes in two parts every time. And we have selected a new community partner for March and April, and it's Florence Food Share. Now, if you've driven down Spruce Street across from Grocery Outlet, you know where Food Share is. They will take donations of household goods, whether it's toilet paper, dog food, cat food, canned food products. You can deliver it to their warehouse to the back door. They'll come out and get it for you. I understand if you go to Grocery Outlet and you want to buy the items there, tell Grocery Outlet it's for Food Share. They'll contact Food Share, who will come get the food. So there's many ways you can contribute and help support Food Share. I understand they also have out front from their community garden those leftover items that are going to go bad, and anybody can drive up, anybody can help themselves to anything that's out on the table outside. So drop by Food Share, see what they're doing. I think you'll be very, very impressed. Colin Montgomery is a great executive director, a young man who's doing good things in this community. As well, if you'd like to make a financial contribution to FOOF as well as Food Share, you can send a check to us and tell us how much to Food Share and how much to FOOF, and we'll take care of it for you. Our mailing address is P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439. You can also go on our website and click on the donate button. Pretty easy way to do it. So, thank you. And as we go forward with this offertory, I ask that you repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
Blesses and multiplies all that I am.
All that I give.
All that I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Thank you. Ask Catherine to come forward. We're going to extinguish the chalice. I'm going to do this little reading by Deborah Burrell, and it's titled, Kindle New Sparks. We have basked in the warmth and beauty of this flame and this community. As the chalice flame is extinguished, let us carry its glow within. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls, within your home, and beyond. Always keeping in mind those folks that we have heard from today, the joys and concerns. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well, especially Auntie Hattie. Auntie Hattie? There you go. Auntie Hattie. Tuvia, will you come forward? And those here, if you'd like to join us, we're going to close with our peace song. Tuvia is going to play. He's got a special way of singing the peace song with us. We love it. So take it away, Tuvia. This is our peace song.